here I am. I'm guessing the audio is probably going to be pretty good in here. I am done guiding, I think. And we're going to go fishing one more time tomorrow. I feel like I haven't slept in 6 years. Whatever. We're going to go salmon fish one more time tomorrow. And then the next day after that, a friend of mine and I, we're going to go 50 miles offshore and go tuna fishing for the wrap-up. That should be good. And grueling, but it should be good. And I don't know how many. I've had a big handful of people from this channel have come out and met me and come fishing with me. And I'll tell you what, you guys, it has really given me a different perspective of this, because it's always just been me alone with the camera, me on a mountain, me in the woods, me on a river, whatever. And then off it goes on to here, where literally hundreds of thousands of people listen to the shares. And it's pretty, just makes it a little, it hits home a little more, it's harder home a little more meeting the people. And it was such a good thing. Such super kind, independent thinking, free, intelligent people. Every one of them. And not once did I, like sometimes, obviously when you're guiding, hunting, or fishing, you have people where some characters aren't your type of character, and you can't wait for them to go home or get off your boat. And not once was I even thinking about these people leaving my boat. It's really good. Every single person that came with me. Great time. But anyway, before I fall asleep, let's see if I can get some emails here before I slip into a coma. This is titled The Longest Share. Steve, that was a long email from the lady in upstate New York, but you didn't give up on it. I commend your tenacity, your commitment, and your whole attitude. You're the man for sure. Thanks for the kind words, man. So, for anyone who is not familiar, that was the longest email we ever had. It's just a little while ago. I forget the name of it. Hi, it's Lance, the guy who lived in the stump for almost 5 years. Remember, you read my story on your boat titled, Watch and Listen to Those Things Behind Me. At that time, it was the longest you ever read. I'm kind of glad that no longer is. I've sent more of my story months ago. You haven't read it yet. I could resend it, but I know how frustrated you get when people send theirs multiple times. I agree, so I have been hold off, because as soon as I do, you will find the other one and read it. Thanks, man. Anyway, I want to say that the lady who wrote the record share has hit the nail on the head, so to say. I agree 100% with her about all points of her share. I've gone through much of the same process as her. I found out what it was that had me so confused. In time after my encounters, I researched and dug into the events and things that pertain to this topic, and the events happening in government and the world. My awareness became clearer. My focus became clearer. I started seeing the signs, the structures, and like her, was appalled by the people's lack of insight. I became more aware, awake. I also found Q. The things she said are exactly how I see things. It's evil. We are at war. God help the good people, and God bless all. Thanks again, Steve. I will fight for our world and our children to be free. Give me a call. I'm in, Lance. Okay, Lance. There's no shortage of people becoming more aware these days, right? There's no shortage. I don't think there's we don't really have any other choice, right? Like I always say, the second you get slapped in the face with the reality of this topic, you start questioning everything. I'll get to that email, Lance. I'll find it. What's this one? Hopefully I haven't read this. This is titled, My Veteran Father's Experience. Hi, Steve. I grew up in the White Mountain National Forest in the state of New Hampshire. My brothers and I were always in the beautiful woods surrounding our home. One night when I was a teenager, approximately 94, my father and I were talking about some of my out-of-the-ordinary wilderness experiences. He then told me of one of his own experiences. He told me that when he was a teenager, early 60s, his mother and a female family friend and he were traveling home in his mother's car from a church function. It was the middle of the winter and after dark. My father put emphasis on the size of the snow banks lining the road. He estimates that they were at least 6 feet high. They were caught in a blizzard during the trip and had to slow considerably. This is the sequence of events that followed as my father relayed to me. They crested a small hill, and a bipedal creature suddenly leapt over the left-hand snowbank. It landed in the middle of the road, causing my grandmother to slam on the brakes. My father said it was a fur-covered being, around 8 feet tall, and its eyes were glowing red. It paused in the middle of the road. My grandmother's friend, who was sitting in the front seat, crawled into the back seat while screaming hysterically. My father said what happened next made his jaw drop. The being roared at them fiercely, took 2 steps, and was over the opposite snowbank. He said he couldn't even process what happened, mainly because it was so odd and happened so fast. He said the being had white or light-colored fur. For your information, my father is a career military man and Command Chief Warrant Officer and part of the New Hampshire Army National Guard Command Structure. He piloted helicopters in Vietnam and a rescue pilot stateside. He isn't afraid of anything. He doesn't know I'm sharing this, so please don't use my full name. Your work is truly appreciated. All the best. And you coming forward to sharing is absolutely appreciated. Thank you very much for that. And you know by now, they saw what tens of thousands of people have seen as well, right? It's endless, you guys. It's endless. What's this one? Mark this as red. Excuse me. Red River Gorge, Kentucky. Steve, feel free to use my name, if I can pronounce it. I am Alex Kleinhens, and I've been watching your channel for a while now, and I've been thinking that I've never had an encounter, but after watching and learning a few things from the people, I'm pretty sure that I've had one. It was back in the early 1990s. My now ex-wife and I used to love to camp in Red River Gorge. Excuse me. One Friday, we got to our campsite early. We set up camp and waited for our friends to get there. Our campsite was next to a huge and steep hill. It is the kind of hill you have to climb on all fours to get up. It's that steep. While waiting on our friends, we heard something coming straight up that hill towards us. I thought it was weird that the hiker would walk straight up that hill. We both waited for whatever it was to top the hill. Just when it sounded like it was about to crest the hill, everything went silent. So I snuck over the edge. There was nothing. It was really strange that something that sounded that big would just disappear. But after listening to stories of these creatures being interdimensional, it would make sense. I've hunted since I was 9 and was in my early 20s at that time, but I have heard many four-legged animals and also hunters come through the woods. Whatever it was we heard was definitely bipedal. And it never went over the hill. Oh, sorry. I never went over the hill to look for tracks because I really didn't think too much of it, except that it was strange what happened. I've never had anything else happen to me in the woods. There seems to be several recent sightings coming from the Gorge, so I may have well heard one. I even called my ex-wife to see if what I remembered was right, and she confirmed it. Thanks for everything you do. I look forward to seeing the new videos from you. If you ever make it to Kentucky, maybe I could put you on some nice whitetails. Thanks for your time, Alex. Alex, thanks for that offer, man. I would love to get put on some nice whitetails anywhere in the States. The old disappearing act. And another, and another. Here's another one. Verbal contact and much more. Hello, Steve. Please do not use my name as I am already well known in the Northeast U.S. With that in mind, anyone that hears this will know who I am. Enough said. The endless chatter I hear about the Bible and God is extremely enlightening, more or less accurate to a large degree. Now that has been said, I write to you about the spiritual war, researching the paranormal, and what has been taught to me from the Native Americans over the years. I'm a psychic medium with 30 years of having mind speak from spirits of nature, and others from the many other words that exist here with us. Worlds that exist here with us. I've listened to you for some time and was weighing whether to contact you or not. I am surrounded here by all of them at all times. Bigfoot, I call them another name. That is for me only, though. They are peaceful and very curious around me. For many years now, they have found me wherever I go. Once tagged, you know that. I've visited many places throughout the Northeast that are extremely haunted. I've also had many spirits, bracket, humans, and bracket, speak to me in my mind. I've been singled out by them for continued contact. The matter of they're young, mischievous, and funny in the way that they do things. In the world we live in, I've had people find me, not for any form of advertising. I do not have Facebook, Twitter, or anything except for a cell phone. However, people still find me and ask for help because they have had an experience or a continued issue with the haunting. Yes, I clean these things up and the associated mess that always goes with it. The bigger fellow seems to be an integral part of this effort. I see them constantly now. I believe friends, and I feel as if they're looking out for me at times. This I know is the case with spiritual contacts. I have a guardian, and some people have made the mistake of trying to see them. One Ojibwe shaman paid with his entire home being trashed. If you choose to read this again, please again do not use my name. Enough people know of me as it is. Others that need my help will be sent by the spirits. As it is said, Grandfather will send those along that need me. All right, that's quite the few statements in there. So, what I would ask you is to pass on some knowledge that will help the people here. Okay? I'm not quite sure why you emailed me. And I'm not being a dick. I'm just saying, all right, I get it. You're a medium and you've seen these things, hear these things, don't share my name. But you didn't really give us anything at all that might help the people understand something. Okay? So, if you do have this contact, you do have this knowledge, obviously you have the answers to a lot of questions that have been brought up here. And if you feel compelled to, give us the goods. Tell us what's up. Okay? I'd appreciate that, man. And you'll keep your name hidden for sure. What's this one? I'm so tired. Lost item returned and an odd memory. Hi, Steve. I was listening to your latest video upload where you mentioned getting that large shed you wanted from the monster buck. You said that you found that 2-year-old shed in the middle of the trail where it would be highly unlikely to have been. This, along with the recent stories of the stones being left, made me think about something that happened in my yard. My son is 4 years old. When he was 2, we found a golf ball in the field next to the house. I gave it to him to hold while we went down the field to look at the berry bushes. He, being young, decided to toss it into the woods. I tried to look for it that minute, but could not find it and considered it lost. Come this spring, 2 years later, we went back down to get him into the woods to play and become comfortable with nature, as I had spent my childhood doing. I recall thinking that I would be able to look for the lost ball again while he was playing next to me. I, of course, did not find it, and muttered to myself, oh, well, the ball's lost for good. He really tossed it somewhere good. The next day, I was taking the dog out, and there was a golf ball sitting in the crook of my river birch tree about 5 to 6 feet off the ground. I do not play golf, so there would be no way for a ball to just lodge up there. I suspect it was brought back to us by one of the forest people. I suppose a rather overzealous squirrel may have done so, but I've never seen a squirrel carrying a golf ball. Who knows? Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I've been out at night in the field with my headlamp off, asking if there was anyone around, trying to use the tips from others about how to interact respectfully and to let them know I am / that I don't mean to bother them and to ask questions. So far, no reply. I suspect I'd be more shocked if I ever get a reply, but I figured it doesn't hurt to try to let them know my intentions when out in the woods and fields. The second thing that came to mind while listening to tonight's share from the Owl Man, he said he could feel when they were around. I mentioned in my first email a while ago about how I could focus and tell if someone was in a room without going in, / tell if someone was coming or were nearby. This usually works for people I know, but it got me thinking. I remember it started when I was really young and playing outside with my brother. We were maybe 4 or 5 years old, playing hide and seek at my grandparents' 48 acres. I always found him from a great distance. several acres away. He always asked how I could find him, and my answer was the trees told me. The trees near where he was would shake, and the only ones shaking, and be the only ones shaking. Not violently, but the tops would jiggle side to side a few inches and kind of vibrate. I wonder, was this one of them playing with us too? Maybe cloaked somehow. Sorry for the ramble. My mind is going weird places today while thinking about how much I miss and need the woods to relax. If you are willing, please send me your P.O. box or mailing address. I'd like to send you a package of what my skill is. I'm a custom bladesmith and would like to give you a hunting knife. I know you aren't a huge gear guy, but I feel you would appreciate it. What a kind thing, man. What a kind gesture. I've had a few people send me things. And it's just such kindness. It's very kind. Pat B. Sharing name is fine. Okay, Pat, appreciate it. The ball. Well, you know what? Careful what you ask for, man. Because maybe they're giving you a subtle heads up. Maybe not. Who knows? But if they're opening up a door for you to get contact going, and then they would decide they want to have contact with you, and then you decide it's not so much fun anymore, and they keep wanting to contact, right? I don't know. Up to you, man. Go with your gut. Go with your instincts. Number one, be safe out there. Be safe out there. I'll have to try to figure out how to remember that and get my... You might have to email me again. I'll send you that address. I can't even think of my address right now. I never remember it correctly. I don't know why. It's only been a year. Lots of short ones today, huh? Actually, now that I'd said that, I'm probably going to find a book here in a second. No subject. Hi, Steve. My husband and I have been watching you for the last couple of months. I had an experience that I don't share with a lot of people. It's interesting to watch people expressions when you share your experience. Yeah, it is. I've had many spiritual encounters, but this one is the latest. My husband retired on his 50th birthday, 2014. It was summertime. We decided to visit his brother in Colorado Springs. We stayed in his brother's previous bedroom, laying in bed on my back with the fan on in the window, blowing gently on the sheet on top of us. I always have a hard time falling asleep. I was thinking about what we will be doing tomorrow. Just then I felt 3-fingered hands touching my legs and going up and down both legs. There are more than 4 hands I felt in my legs. A little freaked out, I threw the sheet off my legs. Just then my husband said, "Do you see that?" He was asleep facing the wall with the fan in the window. I had to sit straight up to look over his broad shoulders. I see a porthole 2 feet around. There in the hole were 3 alien faces looking at me, with 3 fingers gripping the side of the hole. I wasn't afraid, but I laid back down and I said, "I rebuke that in the name of Jesus." I had no desire to look again. I've seen many things growing up. This wasn't anything unusual to me. I finally fell asleep, and in the morning I brought up the incident to my husband. He said he vaguely remembered. I told him to tell his brother to pray over that room. I believe demons can be whatever it wants. Don't be decided aliens. I'm not here to help. As a Christian, I stay close to the Lord. Read the word Revelation in the end times, so shall it be like the days of Noah, and a lot are coming our way. There's victory in Jesus. Thank you for listening. All right. That's nothing that's been sent in before, right? A portal opening in the room with aliens looking out. Sounds absolutely far-fetched, but at this stage of the game, absolutely anything and everything's possible, I'll tell you what. Crazy. All right, what's this one? This is a podcast invite. Not big on podcasts myself. How about an experience? I have an experience from somebody who needs help here. Where are we? I've got so many different emails. Bipedal Wolf. Oof. All right, it's a fair-sized one, but I'm going to go for it. Bipedal Wolf. Hi, Steve. First, my condolences on losing Mr. Macaroni. Oh, this must be an old one. Thank you for reading this. I am Mike from northeastern PA. I've had 2 Sasquatch experiences as well as one with a bipedal wolf, and here's the wolf story. This creature came down out of heavy woods and crossed a small back road down on all fours. When it reached the northern boundary of our field, it stood up on its hind legs, tried to hide itself between 2 mulberry trees. Its head touched a branch that was approximately 12 feet off the ground. My father would later measure its height. It then ran south again, at first bipedally, then dropped down on all fours at an unbelievable speed. It covered 100 plus yards and ran out of the southern boundary of our field into the country road my father and I were traveling west in our family station wagon. From nose to tip of its tail, it covered the county road from shoulder to shoulder, approximately 20 feet. While it was transitioning from 2 legs to 4, you could see its front paws were elongated with huge claws and were more like a hand. We were traveling in an old 71 American Motors Matador station wagon. We barely missed hitting it. Its left side was facing us as we traveled west, and it was running south. Its left shoulder was about 1 foot above the center of the hood of our car. When measured, it was 3 feet off the ground, putting its left shoulder at approximately 4 feet tall. As it ran in front of us, crossing the road, it turned its head toward us, snarled, showing all of its teeth, including canines, that were at least 6 inches long. It had huge amber eyes and just looked plain evil. The gentleman who owned the woods it come out of had about 12 guard dogs. He lived alone like a hermit and owned about 100 acres, which included several long, retired slate quarry holes. They were all filled with clear blue water and huge fish. The woods were also full of deer. By the way, our newly built home was about 50 more yards west of where it ran south across the road in front of my father and I. This is September 3rd, 1975. A few nights after this incident, about 1 a.m. in the morning, World War III broke out. You could hear his guard dogs fighting and being slaughtered. Mr. Hermit opened up with a 12 gauge and kept firing until, as I would find out later, 9 of his 12 guard dogs were slaughtered. It was still warm. It was still warm at this time, and we had our windows open. This was also an extremely rural area at this time, and the sound carried like a concert hall. Our area was under the PA State Police jurisdiction. Several troopers showed up that night, but by daybreak the tactical team showed up and landed their chopper in our field. My father worked third shift at the time at Ingersoll Rand and was just getting home. After my mother was going on, she made him promise to work days and get off nights. He then put a loaded 12 gauge by the front door. My father immediately walked up to the hermit's property. He crossed our field and directly up his driveway and refused to let me go. My mother was so scared of the ordeal, we heard through our open windows the previous night she kept us all home from school. Shortly after I saw my father disappear up his driveway, small arm fires erupted. We were all looking out our kitchen window in anticipation of the results. The state police chopper took off and hovered over the hermit's property. Excuse me. It dipped very low, then lifted something huge wrapped in a tarp and cargo net. My father soon returned and told us the state police stated he and us are to forget about what we saw. The barracks commander stopped in on his way out to reinforce this. We bugged my father to tell us what it was they shot and killed. My father was a short and stocky steelworker and built like a brick you-know-what. This is the only time I ever saw fear in his eyes. The only thing he would say is that he saw them shoot and kill an extremely large wolf. He never spoke of it again, nor would acknowledge my inquiries about it. I eavesdropped on him and my mother talking about it after we kids were supposed to be asleep. He said There were 9 dead guard dogs and 12-gauge shotgun shells everywhere. By the next night, there was a loaded 12-gauge at every entrance door with double-aught buckshot, and my mom had a new handgun at the ready. My father got off night shift very soon after this. Since this incident, there's been no other incidences with bipedal wolves in our area. Thank you, Steve. It means the world to me. Michael. Michael, that's a holy shit story. That's a holy shit story to me anyway. Man, I don't want to see one of those things. It's been shared so many times now. How do you deny the bipedal wolf thing, right? Who wants to see one of those damn things? Not me. Not me at all. And I don't think there's anything good about them. Myself, my guts, my instincts, my guts are screaming at me that something like that is not good. It's just not. We'll see if it ever happens. I hope it doesn't. But anyway, I'm not reading too smooth. I'm so freaking tired of stupid. And this is just like, it's almost like it's like story time when you're about to go to bed, right? It's putting me to sleep. So I gotta go to sleep. Get up at 4:45. And I'm gonna try to do this again tomorrow. See if we can't get caught up. Share my story at howthunt.com.